Alright, so obviously I'm not here today, but I'm going to have you go to the computer lab in about 5 minutes and write a report. And that lab report will be based on your data that you got in the lab that we did on Friday, the mystery lab. Alright, so as you can see on the left side of this recording, it's the lab report basics sheet. It's just page number 9 in your lab book, and I have that right here. So just kind of follow along real quick. I won't go over all of it, but your lab report should have a title. So these are the basic things that you need to include. You have to have a title. It doesn't have to be fancy, but has something to do with the lab, so like the chemistry lab report or something like that. Your introduction. Now, I don't really want to read a paragraph from every single kid. And by the way, each one of your partnerships, you have to write one paper for every kid. They can be very similar, but you need to write 3 papers. All right, so your introduction, just tell me essentially what you tested, what your IV was, what your DV was, and what your hypothesis was. Now, you should have that information there on page number 11 in your mystery lab. And I don't know what happened when we printed these to page 10. There is no page 10. The numbering just got weird. Anyway, so that's your title, or sorry, your introduction. Then procedures, and once again, it doesn't need to be a list of 50 things that you did, but you need to put your procedures that you followed in order to test the different concentrations. Like, hey, we massed out a gram of baking soda. We put in 4 milliliters of vinegar. We would invert it in time. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Then your data and analysis. This might be the trickiest part, but I want you for your data, I want you to include a graph. So what I want to see some sort of data table, and you can make that in Word or Excel. You'll be in the computer lab. It doesn't have to be super detailed. It just needs to be your percents, and then your times and your averages for each one for the cork to blow off. But then at the end of that, I want you to make a graph and include that in as well. So we'll go ahead and I'll come over here and show you the easiest way to make a graph. Alright, so up on the screen, this is just behsscience.com. You can all go there. We're in chemistry. We're in the chemistry lab. And there's this link right here that says lab reports. You can click on that link and it brings you to this Kids Zone, Create a Graph Classic. It's a very simple way to create a graph. Now, to save time in this video, I've already put information in from my lab. I've titled the graph the Mystery Lab, and you can title it what you feel like. The title of the x-axis is percent concentration of vinegar, and then the y-axis is time. And then you put your x-axis, so these were my concentrations, and I made up these times. Those would be your average times that you would put in. And then you can select any size here. I just have it set to large, and I hit Create Printable Graph. When I do that, I will then have this graph created for me. And what I can do with that graph is then just right-click on it. I can copy the image, and then I can put it right into my actual document. Now, I've gone ahead and pasted this in. And let me move down here. In case you don't know how to put a table in, the window's a little bit weird here. But you just go to Insert and then Table, and you can literally draw out the shape you want. And you can put your data table in there that matches this. But your data table, I want you to make sure to list each trials value and the averages. But on the graph, you only graph averages. All right. So then I'll come back to the video real quick. Let's get this out of the way. And this. So hello again. Now you have your conclusion. And a classic conclusion of students is just to say, I was right. And that's really an awful conclusion. In the conclusion, you should accept or reject your hypothesis. So you could say, we were correct. Our data showed us that the higher the concentration, the faster the reaction rate, or something like that. But don't just write, I was right. state whether you are correct or not, what your hypothesis was, and then mention that you're using the data above. Now, this is a maximum one-page paper. It has a data table, it has a graph, but in order to get 100 points, which is what it's worth, you have to have a title: intro, procedures, data analysis, and conclusion. And in your actual document that you turn in, if you want to label those things, that's fine. I'm not looking to read a ton, I'm just looking for a quality lab report with a conclusion based on data. All right, now, good luck. The substitute will tell you which lab we're going to. Thanks, guys.